And welcome back to a broadcast of the Joker, the 50K3R2, the worst comedian and superhero to ever walk the planet. Today I was thinking, after a after a long hiatus of a week, um, that I would break the ice on why I am literally the worst comedian I have ever seen. So pardon the puff on the lightsaber. We know the drill by now. So what I mean is I'm not just one comedian. I am actually two comedians, and that effectively makes me three people running around as one person. What I mean by this is that every superhero has an alter ego. In my case, well, I have an alter comedian, and he is the I'm gonna be sounding like I'm schizophrenic here, but it might as well. Might as well. This is part of the fun here. And so he is quite the Joker, and he was born before I was, and he's a masked fella that much in the same sense as Buckethead and that one other guy with a mustache. So he has a penchant for changing his name, and he's a fictitious throne, and he's the written side of my comedy portrayal. He's only done three vocal acts, and for very good reason. This guy is like, boy, you think I'm a bad hack. This guy is like the tops, okay? And it's so weird to talk about myself in the third person, but I might as well break that fourth wall here. And the thing here is, he started off going by his moniker. Then he progressively changed his names and changed his names and changed his names, as you've seen me do at least once here. And before I tied the bunny loop together in a censor fashion for people that caught the joke, and the cheesy joke at least. So it's progressively changed with him over time. He was a hunter of souls, hunter of the hot souls, chiller of the cold souls, number one gravel pit owner, stuff like that. And he / I have shown my face in a very comedic fashion, and it really, it probably took a little bit of time stewing on this before I came up with the way of describing this, and this wasn't a rehearsal. This is just me thinking up the ideas, and that's part of the fun of improv, is you can think of the ideas before you actually say them. And so I got to thinking that there's two. He really is the greatest comedian of all time. Okay, and I don't mean this as a bow to myself here, even though he would totally take it that way as part of the act. And that he really is the greatest comedian of all time, even though it's very funny and you really gotta look. Okay, I am not joking you. You really gotta look. And he did it just again of changing the name just to make a point and also taking a screenshot. And just talking like this about myself just makes me laugh really hard. Really hard. And so, pardon me while I collect my smoke there. And so, the thing that made this very fun for me is, even though it started off as comedy in an area that really shouldn't be joked about, or most people wouldn't find that funny in the first place, it progressively turned into a joke about computers. Or it could easily be taken that from even the very beginning, because, well, you'd have to find it in order to see it. It makes me laugh pretty hard, because I'm a lot better with the written word than I am the speaking word, and and doing it in an alter ego fashion in the form of Batman and myself is absolutely hilarious to me, especially now. And when I call him Batman, that might as well be his nickname. So he ended up revealing his true identity after a certain amount of time because the joke was just too good. The joke was just way too good. And it can cause a lot of problems if taken the wrong way. And it goes back to a group that have repeatedly want to be superheroes, but they're masked. You know, just like every other superhero out there, and in this case, they're keyboard jockeys. And so the funny part with the joke here was that this comedian can easily look like the mask. And being the great comedian that the alter ego of mine is, he jumped on this full heart. I can't believe I'm talking about myself like this. And so he jumped on this joke full-heartedly with the full intent of knowing exactly what he was doing. With the full intent of knowing exactly what he was doing and put up side by side. And I tell you what, the resemblance is just so uncanny. It's not even uncanny. Hey, so to continue the joke even further, yes, Batman, the Joker has said many times that he is nothing without the Batman, basically, that they're two sides of the same coin, which is a very weird Two-Face joke. And part of the psychology of the Joker that makes Batman absolutely hilarious is that he's basically all the supervillains rolled into one. And including Edward Nygma, even though he's mostly doing it with words instead of doing it with a written form. Well, in the case of my alter ego Batman, he is hardly Batman, for one, even though he's very makes me laugh as hard as I make myself laugh. Just talking about myself in the third person, let me tell you. So, he's the Edward Nygma of the sight of the Joker in the form of Batman. He revealed his face because the superhero group decided to use a historical figure mask that looks just like him. That's the punchline of the joke, and I hope you all have a very funny night.